You've been here before. You're sitting alone. Maybe it's late at night. Maybe you just ended another relationship. Maybe you're in the middle of one right now that you already know isn't right. And you're asking yourself the same question you've asked 100 times before. Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep ending up with women who drain me, hurt me, confuse me, or leave me feeling like I'm never enough? Why does it always start so good and end so painful? Why does the pattern keep repeating? No matter how many times I tell myself, this time will be different, I'm going to answer that question today. And I'm going to answer it in a way that nobody else is going to tell you. Not your boys, not a therapist, not a self-help book. Because the real answer is uncomfortable, and most people won't say uncomfortable things out loud. But this is king-level mindset. And we don't do comfortable lies here. We do uncomfortable truth. She didn't feel right. She felt familiar. Let me describe something to you and tell me if this sounds familiar. You meet her, and something about her just pulls you in immediately. There's an intensity there, a chemistry, something magnetic that you can't explain, but you feel it in your chest. Your friends meet her and they're not as excited as you are. Maybe one of them even pulls you aside and says, something doesn't feel right about her. But you brush it off, because they don't feel what you feel. They don't understand the connection. Fast forward 6 months. You're exhausted. You're confused. You're walking on eggshells, trying to figure out her mood before you say the wrong thing. You're working overtime to keep her happy, and it's never quite enough. You're questioning yourself constantly. You've had the same argument 17 times, and nothing ever gets resolved. And somewhere underneath all of it, you knew early. You just didn't listen. So why didn't you listen? Because she didn't feel wrong. She felt familiar. And this is the thing that most men never understand about themselves. You don't choose women based on who is good for you. You choose women based on what feels like home. And for a lot of men, home wasn't peaceful. Home wasn't consistent. Home was unpredictable. Home was having to earn love every single day. Home was never quite knowing where you stood. So when you meet a woman who is calm, consistent, emotionally available, and clear about how she feels about you, your brain doesn't light up the way it should. It feels almost boring, almost too easy. You find yourself less interested than you think you should be. But when you meet the woman who runs hot and cold, who makes you chase, who pulls you in and then pulls away, who keeps you guessing, your brain goes on fire. And you call that chemistry. You call that passion. You call that connection. But it's not connection. It's familiarity. And familiarity is not the same as love. Familiarity is just your wound recognizing itself in someone else. Now I want to go somewhere most men never go, because understanding the pattern is one thing. Understanding what's driving the pattern. That's where the real breakthrough happens. There are 3 wounds that cause men to keep choosing wrong. And I want you to be honest with yourself about which one is yours. The first wound is the mother wound. This one is the most overlooked. We talk about the father wound, and we covered that last week. But the mother wound is just as powerful, maybe more so when it comes to romantic relationships. If your mother was emotionally unavailable, if she was inconsistent with her love, if she was critical, if you had to manage her emotions as a child, if her approval felt conditional, you learned something at a very young age. You learned that love is something you have to work for. You learned that the woman in your life is someone you have to keep happy in order to feel secure. You learned that love is transactional, and now you're in relationships doing the exact same thing. You're managing her emotions. You're making yourself smaller to keep the peace. You're performing for her approval. You're doing emotional labor that she should be doing herself, because that's what love felt like when you were a child. And when a woman doesn't require that from you, when she's just easy to be with, something in you doesn't trust it. Because love was never easy. Love was always work. The second wound is the validation wound. This is the man who never received real masculine affirmation growing up. His father wasn't there or wasn't present enough to look him in the eyes and say, I see you. I'm proud of you. You are enough. So he goes looking for that validation from women. He needs her to tell him he's the man. He needs her admiration to feel worthy. He makes her the source of his confidence. And when she withdraws that admiration, even momentarily, he collapses. He becomes insecure, jealous, needy, or controlling, not because he's a bad man, but because he's a man who was never given his own foundation. He's been building on sand and using women as the concrete, and it never holds. The third wound, and this is the most brutal one, is the worthiness wound. You will not build or maintain a relationship above the level of worth you believe you deserve. Read that again. If deep down, underneath all the bravado, underneath the confidence you perform for the world, you believe you are broken, you are damaged, you are not quite enough, you will choose women who confirm that belief. Not consciously, not intentionally, but your subconscious will steer you toward the woman who treats you the way you secretly believe you deserve to be treated. The woman who disrespects you confirms what you already believe about yourself. The woman who is inconsistent confirms that you're not worth consistency. The woman who leaves confirms that you were never worth staying for. Scripture says in Proverbs 4:23, "Guard your heart above all else, for everything you do flows from it." Your heart, your beliefs, your wounds, your sense of worth. That is the source of every choice you make. And until you heal what's broken in there, your choices will keep reflecting the wound, what you're actually looking for. I want to say something that might make you uncomfortable. Most men who keep choosing the wrong woman are not actually looking for a partner. They're looking for a healer. They're looking for the woman whose love will be so powerful, so complete, so unconditional, that the wound finally closes, that the voice finally goes quiet, that the emptiness finally fills. I understand that. That longing is real. That search is real. That pain underneath it is real. But here is the truth you need to hear. No woman was built to heal you. That is not what she is here for. And when you make her responsible for your healing, you don't just put an unfair weight on her. You guarantee the relationship will collapse, because she will eventually run out of the capacity to carry what only God and your own work can carry. The book of Enoch speaks of men who lost their way because they sought their completion outside of themselves, who looked for wholeness in women, in power, in things that were never meant to make them whole. This pattern of men seeking healing in the wrong places, it is ancient, and the result has always been the same: destruction of the relationship, of the woman, of themselves. You cannot build a kingdom with a woman when you are still a lost boy, inside looking for a mother. You cannot love a woman at the level she deserves when you are still running from wounds you haven't faced. You cannot lead a relationship when you are still waiting for someone else to make you feel like a man. How you actually break the pattern. So what do? How do you actually break something that has been running your life for years, maybe decades? The first thing you do is get radically honest. Not the kind of honest where you say, "Yeah, I know I have some issues." I mean sitting alone in a quiet room and actually looking at the women you've chosen. What did they have in common? What did they make you feel? What void were they filling? What wound were they touching? Most men have never asked themselves these questions because the answers are uncomfortable. But the answers are the beginning of everything. The second thing you do is stop outsourcing your worth. Your value as a man cannot come from a woman. It cannot come from her attraction to you, her approval of you, or her decision to stay with you. Your worth has to be built internally, through your relationship with God, through your mission, through your brotherhood, through the daily work of becoming the man you were created to be. When your worth is internal, you stop choosing women who threaten it and start choosing women who complement it. The third thing you do is learn to recognize peace as a green flag. If you grew up in chaos, peace will feel wrong to you at first. A woman who is consistent, emotionally healthy, and genuinely available will feel almost unfamiliar. Your nervous system will want to manufacture drama because drama is what it knows. You have to deliberately retrain yourself to recognize stability as attractive and chaos as the red flag it actually is. And the fourth thing, the most important thing, is you have to do the work before you get into the next relationship. Not during it, not after it falls apart. Before, face the wound, build your worth, get clear on your mission, become whole. Because a whole man makes whole choices, and whole choices build whole relationships. You were not built to keep repeating this pain. You were built to recognize it, rise above it, and build something that lasts. The reason you keep choosing the wrong woman is not because you're unlucky. It's not because all the good women are gone. It's not because you're broken beyond repair. It's because you've been choosing from a wounded place. And a wounded man makes wounded choices every single time. But here's what I need you to hold on to. The wound can be healed. The pattern can be broken. The choices can change. But only when you decide, really decide, that you are done letting your past determine your future. That decision starts today, not tomorrow, today. Walk with God while you work for the crown. When He crowns you king, tell the world of the truth you found. That's king-level mindset. Kings don't beg. Kings don't bow. Kings build.